If you are a God ordained standing spouse and you are currently waiting for your prodigal spouse to return, especially if they have run off with a counterfeit, married a counterfeit, even if they're engaged to a counterfeit, and there was witchcraft involved into getting them into a deceptive covenant or getting them to choose them, I want to let you know that it's not going to last forever, right? And so in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what to expect when your God ordained spouse starts to wake up, when they start to realize that, wow, I got tricked, I got deceived, and what you're to do while God is doing his work of getting your attention. God knows that your spouse is in the dark about a lot of information of this counterfeit, especially if, again, the counterfeit has worked witchcraft on them. And your spouse, more than likely, they were seeing things about the counterfeit all along. But again, when witchcraft is involved, emotions are involved, they may have started to just completely put away any ideas that this person was evil, that this person was manipulating them or anything. Like, nah, that couldn't be, right? You know, that's not what they're doing, but that is what they're doing. And so once God starts to reveal to your spouse, and he'll do this in different ways, once he starts to reveal to your spouse who this person is, they're going to be absolutely horrified. They're going to feel so bad, especially if they were highly esteeming them, especially if they, lost things because of them or sacrificed for them or cut people off because of them. They're going to now start feeling remorse and regret for being with them. And this is what's going to start allowing your spouse to go down memory lane on why they even chose the counterfeit in the first place. They're going to start thinking of, why did I choose this person? I don't even like this person. I don't like who this person is. They're mean to me behind the scenes. They really don't like me. I don't even love this person. Then the reality of what they chose is going to start setting in. And it is really going to have them start to do an inner self-reflection on maybe some weak spots in their life on why they even were open to this deception in the first place. So this is why it is very important for you as a God-ordained standing spouse to start praying over your spouse. Start praying that God reveals to them the truth about the situation, that relationship, the truth about the counterfeit themselves. And God is going to start doing different things. Even the counterfeit themselves will tell on themselves, right? Their behavior will start to get more and more disrespectful behind the scenes. And that's going to lead your spouse to start saying, like, I don't think marriage is supposed to be like this. I don't think this relationship is supposed to go like this. They're going to start asking questions. And once they start asking questions and they start humbling themselves, they're starting to seek out the Lord because they're like, something about this person isn't right. Then that's when God is going to start to remove the veil, right? And like I said, he'll do it in different ways. He may give your spouse a dream or multiple dreams. He may lead them to a word. He might actually lead them to a YouTube video. He may actually use you to unveil to your spouse the truth about the counterfeit. Whatever the case may be, God is going to get their attention because he misses them. He knows that if they continue on the road that they're on with this counterfeit, they're going to lose their soul and they're going to lose it fast. So once it starts to happen and your spouse is now waking up to the truth about the counterfeit, they're starting to see that, wow. And they may not know that the person is a witch at first. They're probably not going to jump to that conclusion right away, but they're going to know that this person deceived me. This person got me into this union, and once they got me, it's like they didn't have to pretend anymore, right? They didn't have to do that. They're going to feel, some of them, heartbroken because they believed a lie, right? But then they're going to start to feel some guilt and shame because they're going to feel like, well, wow, like I really played myself with this person. I played the Lord. I played my God ordained. I played them for a lie. And once they realize that, that is when true remorse is going to start setting in because they're going to realize, wow, I literally wasted my time with this person. I literally did something that went against the Lord. And that is when they're going to start to admit at some point to themselves, it may not be right away, that God was trying to warn me about this person. He did. He He really wanted to save me, but because of the whatever spell I was under, because I was, infatuated with this person, I blew past all the warnings that God has given me. So once that happens and the veil is being lifted, the spell is wearing off, they're now going to start to have more remorse for you. They're going to have remorse for the situation overall, but they're going to start to have true remorse for you once God starts to humble them, because they're going to see, wow, I hurt this person. Wow, I hurt my God ordained spouse. Wow, I can't believe this happened. And during this time, God is going to start promoting you in front of your spouse. He's going to do it in different ways. And this is why it's very important that you do whatever God leads you to do, even if it pushes you outside of your comfort zone. Because the same thing you've been praying about, wow, God, I wish my spouse would finally choose me. I wish they would see me. They're going to see you, all right. God's going to make sure they see you. But it's very important that you are obedient to the Lord, because while God is unveiling the truth about the counterfeit to them, he's also going to be unveiling the truth about who you are to them. And they're going to see at some point, it's going to be very clear to them, wow, this person is like night and day. Literally, right? It's night and day. We got the Proverbs 31 woman for real. We got Jezebel over here. How did I make this mistake? But this is a time for you to have compassion for your spouse, right? Because we've all made mistakes. We've all chosen wrong at some point. We've all had a counterfeit, right? Because God will send you a counterfeit to test you before he sends you the real thing. And so this should lead you to start having more remorse and compassion for your spouse. Once God starts to reveal to you they're waking up, and once he starts to reveal to you that, okay, they truly feel sorry for what they did to you. And I wanted to throw this in here too. If your God ordained spouse didn't want to be with you because they weren't physically attracted to you, or they, made any comments about your physical appearance or your weight, even if they didn't make any comments, but it was very clear that they just didn't like you. They, probably thought you were ugly, or, whatever the case may be, that you weren't attractive. Once God starts to reveal the veil, the truth about this counterfeit, they are now going to start to see you as attractive. Because guess what? And this is why it's also important for you to do whatever God is telling you. If he's telling you to lose weight, if he's telling you to take care of your hygiene, if he's telling you to buy new clothes, whatever he's telling you to do, you need to do that. Because once God starts to reveal to them that the counterfeit is fake, they're going to start to see the counterfeit is unattractive. It don't matter what they look like on the outside. They're going to start to see the counterfeit is unattractive, and they're going to start now seeing you as attractive, because God is now going to start shining the light in a dark place. He's going to start highlighting you to them that this is what you should have chose. This is what I have for you. That person that you're with now, that person's not who I have for you. So another indicator that your spouse is waking up, especially if they were heavy on social media, or if they weren't but the counterfeit was, you're going to start to see less and less and less and less pictures, videos of your spouse with this person, right? It's almost going to seem like they went silent about the relationship. The counterfeit usually posting all the time about the spouse, highly esteeming them, idolizing the marriage, lying about the marriage, making it seem like everything is perfect. And then all of a sudden, it's going to seem like they went silent. Shh. They're not talking about it anymore, right? This is another indicator that something is going on, especially if they were constantly posting about that. Like wow, like you have nothing else to talk about. This is really sad. That is going to show you that, wow, okay, something that I'm doing is working. Some prayers are breaking through. Something is happening, and you need to continue praying and fasting, especially when you start to notice that these things are happening. And so the counterfeit will also start to gaslight. For some of you, the counterfeit will also start to gaslight your spouse. They may even use social media to do this, especially if they were heavy on that, to make your spouse feel like they're weak, right? This is a way to punish your spouse for waking up. And I'm about to get into that in a minute, on how the counterfeit's behavior will start to change on your spouse, once they realize, once Satan gives them the download that this person is now getting away from us. Our victim, unfortunately, that's, who they are to them, our victim is now starting to wake up, right? We need the reinforcement. Once they start to realize that your spouse is no longer highly esteeming them, your spouse don't want to take pictures with them anymore, your spouse don't want to go nowhere with them, that's when they're going to start to retaliate against your spouse. And when I tell you, this is when you really have to start praying that the Lord delivers them out of that situation, because whatever demonic forces are at bay will begin to now attack your spouse. Once this is happening, they're starting to gaslight your spouse now that they've figured out that they're getting away from them. We're actually going to turn to the book of 2 Samuel chapter 19, because I don't want you guys to take my word from it. We want to look at the word of God, right? When we're bringing these testimonies, when we're bringing this knowledge, because we're going to see how in the Bible, how this happens as well, right? And this is 2 Samuel chapter 19. It's titled, Joab Causes the King to Cease His Mourning, right? Because at this time, David was mourning over what was happening with Absalom. And so we're going to see how Joab is now going to basically try to flip the script on him and try to get him to stop doing that. It says, and it was told Joab, behold, that the king, King David, weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning until all the people, for the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son, right? So King David has a viable reason for why he's mourning, but Joab doesn't like it, and he's going to try to get him to stop. And for you, the counterfeits may start to see that your spouse is starting to take a liking to you again. They may start even hearing your spouse talk about you again, right? They may start seeing that. And once they start seeing that, or they start to see your spouse pulling away from them and they're not giving their affection anymore, that's when the gaslighting is going to start to happen. And the people gat them by stealth, this is verse 3, that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, Oh, my son, Absalom, oh, Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines. So pretty much he's bringing shame to David. Instead of saying, you know what, that's all right. That was your son. I know y'all turned against each other. I know there was some family dispute, but that's okay. No, he didn't do that. He started to gaslight, bring shame upon them. So this is what the counterfeit will do in your situation as well, especially if you have a really evil counterfeit. If your spouse is entertaining a witch or anyone who's really evil and manipulative, they're going to make it seem like, oh, you're going to bring shame on this marriage. Oh, you want to separate from me? You're going to bring shame on our name, all to get your spouse to believe that they're doing something wrong and to get them to stay with them. Okay, verse 6 says, and in that thou lovest thine enemies, look at this, and hatest thy friends, for thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom have lived, and all we have died this day, then it have pleased thee well. They're going to flip the script on them and try to get them to believe that you're the enemy. They're going to try to get them to believe that the people who was warning them are evil people. All to get them to stay with them. All to keep them trapped, right? Now therefore arise, go forth and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by the Lord, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night. And that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. They're going to blackmail your spouse. They're going to threaten them. Around this time, when your spouse starts to catch wind that this person is evil and they start pulling away and all that, this is going to get the counterfeit is actually going to start, for some of them, they're going to start to turn up on your spouse, right? Fighting them, physically assaulting them, verbally getting worse, start calling them names, making fun of them, all to get them to behave, right? All to get them to get in line so that they can keep them trapped in that situation. What the counterfeit is not aware of is that they're telling on themselves, right? They're proving to your spouse, right, that they're evil. They're proving, wow, so if I don't do what you say, you're gonna like do that to me? I'm trying to tell you, listen, I have a new song, I'm trying to tell you, okay? Sing it with me. I'm trying to tell you, okay? I'm trying to tell you, these people are going to really try to create a narrative that's not true. And around this time, this is when God is going to use this opportunity to really show your spouse the truth. And it will be up to them to say, you know what? I'm tired of this. You know what? I deserve better than this. You know what? God, what is the answer? What is the solution? And that is when God is going to reveal to them, once they humble themselves, that they do not have to keep putting up with this anymore. Now, I also wanted to throw this in here as well. The counterfeits won't always just necessarily attack your spouse in that way. Some of them, if they're skilled professionals, if these are skilled witches and warlocks, they may even start to sympathize with your spouse to try to make things work. You know what, babe? Let's go to marriage counseling again. Let's call the pastor. Let's call the elder so we can work things out. They won't always come rah, rah, rah. A lot of them will, to punish your spouse, right? To blackmail them, to get them to feel fearful and shameful. But other times, if they're really skilled, they'll start to feed into, well, let's see where we went wrong. Oh, you know what? I did this to you. I'm so sorry. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to change. Lies. Any way that they can get your spouse to stay in that situation, because Satan does not want your spouse to wake up. He wants to have them in his prison, in his captive forever, so they lose their soul, right? And God forbid your spouse is any type of minister, pastor, elder, deacon, Bible worker, or anything like that. It's going to be worse for them, because God is going to hold them to a higher standard, right? He's going to hold them to an account. So keep praying for your spouse, especially when God starts to reveal these things to you, and you will begin to help setting them free. But once all of this starts coming to a head, it starts coming to the surface, right? God is unveiling this about the counterfeit. He's unveiling about who you are to them. He is telling them the truth about, why they're in that situation. A lot of them are going to start having resentful feelings, even sometimes hatred towards the counterfeit, because they're going to realize that, wow, this person really lied to me. Imagine giving, almost your all to a person, your finances, your time, making deals with this person. Your name is tied up with bank accounts and all type of stuff with this person, just to know this person was fake all along. They were deceiving you, right? They pulled you away from the person you really were supposed to be with. That's going to make you feel some kind of way. So a lot of them are going to feel some kind of way, and they're not going to realize that, wow, this didn't really have to happen if I would have listened to the Lord. But God is going to redeem your spouse, right? He's going to redeem them. He's also going to give them a chance to prove themselves, right? He's going to give them a chance to do what is right. And so if your spouse has people-pleasing tendencies, if your spouse, falls under pressure easily, they're going to fail the test. So God is going to give them a test of loyalty to see, will you be willing to give this up? Now that you know this, will you be willing to surrender this relationship or this person to me so I can step in and do what needs to be done? And so we're going to turn really quick to Revelation chapter 17, verse 15 to 17. And like I said, we're going to bring things from the word, right? We're not going to just speak what Elizabeth thinks, what I believe. No, we're going to bring this from the word. And it says, starting at verse 15, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, and we're talking about in Revelation, the woman, basically Babylon the Great, right? She's riding on the back of this beast. That's who we're talking about, this false woman. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, that's who the whore is, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God had put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So your spouse is going to eventually come to a place of hatred for this person. It's not me saying that, the word of God saying this. Once they see that this system, this person, this counterfeit, this whole marriage, this relationship was a lie, they're going to hate this person. They're going to feel resentment toward them, and that's when they're going to want to get far away from them. Also put upon your spouse's heart, not all of them, but he'll put upon your spouse's heart to even remove the counterfeit themselves, right? To let them go. When we look in the book of Joshua chapter 7, right, verses 10 all the way through 26, we see that there was a person named Achan that was in the camp, right? There was sin in the camp. And because of this person committing sin, God's presence was expelled from the entire congregation. And he wouldn't come back, and he wouldn't dwell with them, and his glory wouldn't be with them, and he wouldn't answer their prayers until they removed Achan and his entire family. So for some of you, God is going to instruct your spouse to let that counterfeit go. No matter what situation they're in with them, let them go. Get away from them. Leave them. He's going to tell some of them this. And like I said, not all of them. He may tell them to separate. Whatever he tells your spouse to do, they're going to have to do that if they want the glory of God to come back, if they want the Holy Spirit to be dwelling with them, if they want their enemies to stop rising up against them, if they want the favor of God back on them, they're going to have to listen to what God is telling them to do. Not a church member, not a deacon, a pastor. Now God may use those people to instruct them on what they should do, but it's very important that your spouse goes to God first. Don't go to a pastor, don't go to an elder, don't go to a person who seems like they know what they're talking about. No, go to God himself, and he will lead your spouse back to basically what to do and how to set things right. So last but not least, once God starts to unveil all these things to your spouse, the counterfeit you, and they really start to understand why they're in this situation, maybe some of the demonic doors they opened without realizing, right? These spiritual doors, maybe some of the things that they're struggling with. God is going to give them the full picture of what is going on once they start to wake up. Now, he's not going to give it to them all at once. It's going to be in increments, but eventually they're going to get the full picture that I really shouldn't be here. I made a mistake. I'm not where I need to be. And then God, in time, will start to reveal to them who you are. He'll start to show them that you should really be married to this person. You should really be engaged to this person. You should really be in a relationship with this person. You should really be highly esteeming this person, right? And not highly esteeming in a way where they're idolizing you, but they're the same way they're pretty much putting this counterfeit, I wouldn't even say on a pedestal, because that's pretty much idolizing them, but pretty much they're showing honor to this person. They're going to be doing that to you. And so God may put on some of their hearts to apologize to you. Now, every person, every God ordained spouse who comes back, who did wrong to their spouse, at some point that apology is going to come out, right? Because God is going to humble them. And this should lead you to a place of, not repentance, but a place of understanding, right? A place of, I want to forgive this person so they can come back. Okay, so that's it for our video today. I hope this gave you some encouragement. And for some of you, like I said, God will let you know when your spouse is waking up. And if you have a close relationship with the Lord, he will definitely tell you that. He will definitely tell you when to pray, when to fast, what to say, what to ask him, what things to do, maybe to even warn your spouse, right? So whatever the case may be, God will be faithful to you. Continue to be faithful to him. Continue to do all that he's telling you to do. Have love for your spouse. Forgive them. Be looking forward to them coming home, because once they come home and you're reunited again, you have a absolutely beautiful marriage promise. So I love you guys. I want to hear from you. Has God revealed to you that your spouse is waking up? And if he has, what was the method that he used to do that? So until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.